Hey guys, Mrs. Shiny Side, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to part 2 of my Declutter series. This is how I store my concealers. I know, very fashionable, you know, in the Sephora play bags, but you know what? I basically have a giant plastic storage container that I put all my makeup in. They have different shelves. Once everything's decluttered, hopefully I'll be able to show you how I store it. But as of right now, this is what's happening. So let's get this all dumped out. Alright, so these are all of my concealers. As you can see, I have about 90% drugstore on this section. That's just because I feel like I go through concealers quite a bit. I do have dark under eye circles, and I don't have too many blemishes, but when I do like to cover those up with a little bit more concealer, and I do have the occasional redness around my nose. So I think we should just go ahead and start with the high-end ones because it's going to be easy. So, Tarte Shape Tape. Yes, it is as good as everyone says that it is. I have mine in the shade Fair. This thing is massive. You will never go through it. The one thing that I wish people would have told me about this is it is scented. It has fragrance in it. It's kind of weird. I feel like I'm actually starting to see the inside of mine, so I don't know if my stopper fell in or like what happened, but the one thing I hate about this is the packaging. Do you see how caked up it gets around here? It's like you go to close it and it's so liquidy that it like squeezes out around the top. That kind of drives me insane, but the coverage on this is madness. It is the best I've ever found. This one I don't feel like I need to use anything else, but don't be fooled. Do not do the triangles under your eye like all the beauty gurus do out there. You will look like a dry, cakey mess. I definitely prefer this over any concealer that I have because the shade is light enough for me and it covers up my dark circles, but it is definitely not something that doesn't settle into fine lines or wrinkles. So I love it. I'm definitely keeping it. It's my favorite concealer of all time right now, but I would love the next one more if it came in the right shade for me. This one, the Kat Von D Lock-It Concealer in the tube, I love this. This one is in the shade Light 16. Now, just comparing shades here, this is definitely more of a peachy undertone to correct your dark circles. So if it was this consistency where it had the high coverage but it was in the right color, maybe I would like this one more. I haven't actually combined it with the other one that she came out with, the Lock-It Cream Concealer, so maybe I should try this combination. I just thought of that now because I don't think of things like this. But this I like to use when I have some self-tanner on or I'm a little bit darker, or I use this as a corrector, so I kind of put this on to cover my dark circles and then I'll go in with the lighter concealer on top, but maybe I'll have to try this combination out. This is the newest to my collection as far as high-end goes. I definitely got this to make some of my other concealers that are a little bit too dark or the shade's a little bit off to work. But I'm definitely going to do what I suggested to myself, so way to go me, coming up with things on the fly. But I really do like this. I almost am debating when I'm out of this one in the squeezy tube that maybe I should go get this concealer in the lightest shade so that I don't have to mix it. But I do like this, and I feel like I'm going to get quite a bit of use out of it. This one, this is the Sephora Collection Bright Future Gel Serum Concealer. It's a very lightweight concealer. This I feel like is great for those days when your under eyes are dry and they don't need a ton of coverage. I do like this, but it's not my favorite, and I don't know how long you're supposed to keep this for, but I have a feeling this is bordering on too old. So if I don't use it up, or reach for it a lot in the next few weeks, I think I'm just going to throw this in my empties because it's not, I feel like I'm running low on it, but I feel like the consistency is starting to change and that might be a bad thing. Alright, so I'm actually going to grab the things that are the newest in my collection, just to get that out of the way. I just picked this one up a couple weeks ago. This is the Essence Camouflage Cream Concealer. I picked this up because Sarah Therese here on YouTube always talks highly of this for correcting her under eye circles. It's definitely a good concealer for the price. I think this is like $2 or $3. I mean, it's Essence, it's really affordable. I actually have been looking for this for a long time, but this isn't actually in the display at Ulta. It's on a end cap. So if you can't find this, check an end cap. I've never seen this at like Target or wherever. I know they just started selling Essence. But I really do like this. I got this in 10 Natural Beige. I think that's the only shade that they have. But I haven't even tried the darker side yet just because it's way too dark for my skin tone. This I feel like I can put under my eyes as long as I put a lighter concealer on top of it. But so far I like it. I've only had it a couple weeks, if that, week and a half. The Wet n Wild Mega Cushion, you saw me talk about this last month when I picked this up. I like this. I feel like, again, it's a color corrector. It's not a severe color corrector, though, so it's good for those lightweight makeup days. You know, you don't want to go full coverage, but you still want to cover up your dark circles and not look like a zombie. That's this. And I really do like it. I haven't used it for that long, so this one's staying. Moving on to some of my pot concealers. This Pixie by Petra. I got this because it's supposed to be a dupe for the Erase Paste. And I like it. It definitely is the only true color corrector that I have. I don't know if I like this one more, though, than the NYX version, the dark circle corrector that NYX makes. That's not this. I definitely want to use this up, though, and I have started to see the easiest, tiniest bit of the pan at the bottom, so I'm going to hold on to this just because it's the only true corrector that I have in jar form like this, but I think I'm going to go back to my NYX one and kind of compare when I run out of this, so. Now this one I picked up around Halloween, and I wasn't a huge fan of it. I definitely don't feel like this is, it says it's a full coverage concealer. I feel like this is more of a face concealer as opposed to most of the things I've purchased. They're supposed to be for like eye use, because that's where I need it the most. But now that I have this and that the NARS matte pot concealer, I don't know what that's called, is starting to gain popularity, I'm kind of curious about putting this on my under eye. So maybe the next time I do my makeup, I'll have to give this a shot under my eyes. It's very thick though, so I feel like I would definitely have to use an under eye primer like my hydrogel lift I just talked about, but I want to give it a shot. It definitely, the shade looks right. It says that it's crease free, but I mean, how realistic is that for a concealer? So this is the NYX Above and Beyond Full Coverage Concealer Cream in Porcelain, and the Pixie by Petra one was in just Brightening Peach. I don't know. I don't think it matters for shades. I think you can pretty much figure out it's always the lightest one. I always go for the lightest one. This Maybelline New York Master Conceal by Face Studio. It's a camouflaging concealer in 10 Fair. This stuff is no joke. This stuff, I believe, was supposed to be a dupe for the new, well, not new now, but the newer, not NARS, Makeup Forever concealers. It just doesn't have the little ball end like they have. But this stuff is no joke. Like, this is full coverage concealer from the drugstore. I really do like this. I feel like it is a camouflaging concealer. This is very peachy tone, so I feel like it does do a good job covering my dark circles, but it's very thin feeling. So this is definitely good for the hotter months. I'm almost out of this, so I feel like once I use this up, I'm gonna work on the rest of my collection. I've had this one probably the longest of all the ones that I have out right now, so this is definitely my priority to kind of finish it and move along to a different one. I'm just gonna go, you know, the elephant in the room here. Why do I have 3 age rewinds? Well, I have 3 age rewinds because they're all different things. So this one is the brightener, so this is the peachy tone one. This one I like to use to correct dark circles. That is my favorite. Thin one, other than the cushion. I feel like this has more coverage than the cushion, but not as much coverage as the Petra corrector, so definitely like that. These two, it's kind of a crapshoot. This one is in Fair, and this one isn't light. The shades on these two are different. This is definitely the one in Fair, the one I can use most of the time. The one in Light I can really only use when I'm self-tanned or tanner, but I feel like I don't like the formula as much on the darker one. I don't think I've had this one much longer than this one, but I feel like something is amiss with this one, so I'm gonna go ahead and trash it because I don't really self-tan too much anymore like I used to try. Used to try to be tan. So as far as the ones that I have left on here, just going in, I don't know, least favorite. This is the NYX Hydra Touch Brightener. It's supposed to be an illuminator. This one is in Radiance. It's just like the pink one. It's like a crayon. I do not understand this product. I guess the way that I looked at it was, I looked at it as being like a drawing on pencil version of the under eye correctors, but I don't think that's what you're supposed to use this for. So I'm gonna set this one aside. If I don't use it in like the next week, I know I got this on clearance at Target for like $3 or $4, so it's not a total waste if I used it a couple times and didn't like it. But if I don't use this in some capacity in the next week, I'm just gonna get rid of it, because this is a pencil. I don't feel right giving that to somebody, just like I don't feel right giving somebody this since it's, you know, it's got the sponge applicator. So I'm just gonna put that in my goodbye pile. This one from Boots number 7, or I guess just number 7 now in the States, probably the most disappointing one out of the ones I have left right here. This is the Radiant Glow Concealer. This is supposed to be similar to the YSL Touche Éclat, you know, the clicky pen kind where it's supposed to brighten under the eye. I picked this up because Jessica Braun raves about it. Now, she's definitely a different skin tone than me, and she doesn't have as darker circles as I have, I don't think, but I just can't seem to get this one to work under my eyes. It's far too yellow toned for me, and it doesn't correct much of anything, and I'm not a huge fan of it. So again, I think I'm gonna toss this one. It's good for 24 months, but I've never liked it. This is definitely not a blemish covering concealer of any point, so I'm definitely just gonna throw this one out. This is disappointing though, because it's so expensive considering it's a drugstore product, because it's a higher end drugstore product, but him and I just didn't get along, so goodbye. He won't even stand up for me. These next ones, I love this Maybelline Fit Me. This is in the shade 15 Fair. This is the one that you need to know about. So I love this. This is very hydrating. People say this is a dupe for the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. I've never had that. I like this because it doesn't make my under eyes look dry. If I ever have a problem with the concealer and I wipe it off, I always go in with this. This is also a very good eyelid primer. The shade 10 is actually darker than the shade 15, so if you go and you usually pick the fairest color up like me, make sure to pick up 15 in this, because otherwise it's going to be too dark. This is my favorite one of the drugstore that I have repurchased several times, and yeah, can't go wrong. So this one is the NYX HD Studio Photogenic Concealer in the shade CW02, which is Fair. This is another one where the lightest shade is actually darker than the second lightest shade, like that last one, so that's a good transition. I like this. People compare this one to the Urban Decay Naked Weightless Concealer. I like this one. I don't feel like this one is as good as this one in my eyes, but I feel like they're about the same coverage level. They're probably about medium coverage. They're not going to cover your dark circles alone. You're going to have to use a corrector if you have really Polish under eyes like I do. But I really do like this, but keep in mind that color difference. So I just picked this one up maybe a month or so ago, and this is kind of going to be my replacement when I run out of the Fit Me, because as you can see, I can see a lot of the sides, and that's what happens before you run out of it. So these two I am totally on the fence about. So this one I have used. This is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Concealer. I have the lightest shade, which is Light Ivory. This is definitely not light, so I don't know how a foundation is lighter than a concealer, maybe for the color correcting and they add a peach undertone, but this is too dark for me to put under my eyes and do any kind of brightening. It doesn't cover dark circles, so the pink tones in it don't work. So what I've usually done is if I had to use this, I went in with my Kat Von D Whiteout Concealer and lightened it, but I feel like that's kind of stupid because this is like less than $5 and that's 30-something dollars. I don't know. Again, I'm going to put this aside. If I don't use this in the next, you know what, I'm not even going to put this aside. I'm going to get rid of this one because I know I don't use it and it's cheap and I don't feel bad because I got a couple uses out of it, but it's definitely not high coverage enough for me. So this one is very new to my collection. I got this purely just based on the shade, so when this one didn't work out, I went out and said, well, is there a lighter one I can mix with it? I don't think I've mixed these two, so maybe I should do that before I pitch this one, but this is very light. The Ready Set Gorgeous, this is in the shade Fair. That is more along the lines of my under eyes, what it should be, but this has like no coverage at all. So maybe, maybe I'll try to combine these two and then if they don't work together, then it'll go away. So as of right now, this is my for sure keep pile. This is my keep pile with advisement. So if these two don't work together, then they're both going in the garbage. And these ones are all, and these ones are all getting thrown out, unfortunately. The shade's wrong, the formula's wrong, and I don't even know what that's supposed to be. So, all right, that is my declutter for concealers. I will see you guys next time in a 2-part foundation series because I buy too much foundation, way too much. So, all right, thanks guys. Got some time to kill? Why don't you stick around and watch another video? Like this one. Or this one. Or you can just binge watch them all. Doesn't matter to me. Have you hit that subscription button yet? Subscribe.